I've got two brand new flip throughs for you of my 2024 Junk Journal and Word of the Year Journal, and I'm doing something a little different today. Plus, I have a question for you at the end of this video. Here we go, y'all. Hello, welcome to Pink Paper Peppermints. My name is Melissa, and I am so glad that you're here today. I'm trying something new today. I am recording while I'm doing the flip through. I'm not going to do a voiceover. So we're going to see how that goes. I just decided maybe it would be a fun thing to try. So I'm showing you today two of my journals, and this one is my Fresh Start journal, and it's kind of a New Year Word of the Year journal. And you can see here, I've got the signatures just tied in with some seam binding ribbon for now, because I don't exactly know how I'm going to bind them in. And I just used an old book cover and put some fabric on the binding. And the Traveler's Notebook journal that I'm using is from the Fresh Start kit, as is most of everything in the journal. And this was a subscriber gift, a newsletter subscriber gift. If you're subscribed to my newsletter, then you probably got that. So for this journal, well, let me just show you the beginning first. This is a poem. This was also a newsletter subscriber gift, and I love this poem. Usually my New Year journals, I start with this poem, and then on the inside, I've just got a little note about the journal and about starting the new year. And this is going to be mostly a writing journal. So I've got a little bit of a junk journal in the back, which I'll show you in a minute for memory keeping or just art things. But this is mostly for me to record working through this word of the year and verses and prayers and that kind of thing. I thought I would show you, this is a mini calendar. I get one of those Susan Branch desk calendars every year. And on the cover, it has a miniature version of the calendar to show you what all the months are going to look like. And so I just cut those all out to use in this journal. And this is a set of tags that there's one for each month that goes along with the kit that I'm going to use for journaling. And then on this first section, this is just basically talking about your word of the year. So what your word is. And I typed mine out on my vintage typewriter with some green typewriter ribbon from a store that I love, which I will link in the description below. They have all different color inks. And I typed it out because I knew that I was going to be writing a lot and I didn't want to take up too much room. So I typed it out and put what's my why, kind of why this word was chosen and the definition of the word and Bible verse and how I'm going to be implementing the word or how I see myself implementing the word. We'll see what really happens. The two are not always the same. And then synonyms. I love synonyms for words. I love having the same word written over and over in different ways. For me, it's almost poetic. And then what I want to let go of this year and what I want to hold on to this year. It's just helpful to have something like that, especially when at the front of the book, every time you open the book, you kind of read over it to remind yourself what you want to be doing. So this isn't filled out yet because we're not to the end of the month yet. So on the last day of the month, I will sit down and fill this all out. Although I think in future, I might kind of do these as I'm going along because otherwise I'm afraid I'll forget what I'm loving. Not reading, obviously, but things that I've loved this month or things that I've been watching. I tend to write them in my planner because I look at that every day. So maybe I'll just transfer it from my planner. And this is just to kind of help me think about the month. How did it go? What were things that happened that I want to remember? Things that helped me, things that were challenging, and what I can do next month to kind of combat those challenges. So, and then of course, gratitude and memories. Another thing that I like to do is just so that I don't forget. It's kind of like a tickler where I just write, don't forget this thing that happened, which I should also do when it happens, right? It's probably in my planner for January. And then that way I can put that in my memory journal, which that's the other thing that I'm going to show you today. So I have more blank pages here. And what I like to do is just kind of go in and put some things in just to kind of make the page prettier. And also so it's not blank when I sit down. For some reason, that helps me write better. And so then that's what it is. Each month it's got that spread and then some blank pages to write in. So obviously we're at the beginning of the year, so there's not a lot in here yet, but I wanted to show it to you. I showed it, I think, in my newsletter or maybe in the community tab here on YouTube, and you said that you would like to see some more of it. So this is the junk journal portion of it, and this is just sometimes when I'm writing, I think of something, a way that I want to express what I'm writing in art, and so I like having this in there just to kind of play around with that. I don't know how much I'll do in here, but we'll see. maybe a lot, maybe not a lot. This is a tag that I typed on. I had inked on it and then I typed on it and kind of cut it up. And this was some inked paper that I had already done and put this in the book. I like having backgrounds like this already in my book so that when I sit down to express something, I don't have to get out everything, all the paints and everything. A lot of times it's already got a pretty background. And then I just add to it. I add some marks or I add some ephemera. And so that's pretty much I think the only pages that I've done in here. The rest is just pages waiting to be done. This is actually from my Christmas kit, but I love that flocked paper and this, what do you call that? Alphabet index paper. And so I'm going to be using that a lot, I know, and I love the colors. And so butterflies are going to appear a lot, I think, because the word is transformation and also just like metamorphosis. Really felt like the Lord putting that on my heart this year, that there were going to be big changes. There's already a lot of big changes. You might know that I am closing my shop and moving to a new shop, and I'm retiring a lot of my products, and I'm going to be doing some new kinds of products. So there's already a lot of changes happening, and I anticipate a lot more, which normally I wouldn't like, but I really feel like this is something that the Lord has been planning for a while. So I'm in it with him. So this is some embossed vellum, silver vellum, and some more pieces from the kit. And then this paper is also from the kit. So that is my Fresh Start journal. And I'm going to probably stencil on the cover or maybe do some painting on the cover. I haven't really decided. I usually do that at the end, like the cover and the binding at the end. So then the other thing that I wanted to show you was this is my like junk journal for the year. I try to do one every year that's more of memory keeping and notes and just life kind of things. And so because my word is transformation, metamorphosis, I wanted the book cover to be butterflies. So I got this butterfly book and I just did kind of a cross stitch binding with a seam binding. And I used some vintage fabric. There's a little puppy hair on there. And I used some vintage fabric for the binding. I kind of didn't do the binding so well because this was a really thin book. So I think there's a picture in my community tab if you want to see what it looked like before. But I added this binding and I was thinking I want it to be really sturdy. And so I made it really thick. I don't know if you can see that. And that was not the way to go because when you make it really thick, then you have to punch holes through that really thickness. And that was hard. And then this is the other thing that I did. And I tend to do this and I need to stop doing it. But I wanted to not cover up this 50 cents because I just love the font and the number 5 and everything. So I didn't want to cover it up. Well, that makes this really, really thin and it's kind of hard to wrap around. And then I tore it and I don't know, it was just a mess, but it's okay now. But I think I probably will have to put some trim over it because that's going to bug me there. And then the same thing happened on the inside. I don't know if you can see it. I tore it here because this was so thick. And then I put so much glue that it was really stiff and it's still kind of stiff to open. So it was just kind of not good the way I did it, but I still love the way it looks now, just not this part. I'm probably going to put some crochet lace or something over that. So this is my cover page, of course, with the butterflies and my word. And these are some stamps from, I'm not sure, I'll look that up and I will put that in the description. And there's that flocked paper again that I love. And this is actually a calendar that I made for myself. It's like a year at a glance calendar, which I obviously haven't filled in yet because I just made it. I just had the idea. But I really like being able to see the whole year. I think it helps me. I tend to be someone that doesn't have a good concept of time. And so seeing the whole year at once. So I'll go in and put all the things that are going on with pink paper peppermints and personal things and church things and, just all those kinds of things in here and birthdays and being able to see that all at once, I think will help me, especially, sometimes I'm like, oh, that's not until March. Well, March is like, right here and you're right here. So March isn't that far away. So this helps me with that kind of thing. So if you're interested, I can probably put that in the shop if you think that's something that you would use too. This is like a vintage envelope that I put on the background. And then I just printed that flocked paper on the back. And that's a little scrap of wallpaper that I want to put in there, and I haven't glued it in yet. And this is some handmade paper and vintage map of Hawaii because I would really like to go there someday. And right now it's just a dream in my journal, but maybe someday. And then this is, oh, I was going to show you this. Okay, see, now I understand why when people do these, they suddenly hop up just like in the middle of the video because you forget things and then you're not doing a voiceover, so you can't just pause the video. I guess I could do that. I'll pause the video. We'll see. Maybe I won't say anything about this at all because I'm going to go get this bag because I want to show it to you. Okay, see, I'm so new at this. All right, this is a Chinese food takeout bag from a really cool Chinese food place that we love. And my son and I got takeout one night when my husband was out of town, which is kind of a rare event. He is 20, and so he doesn't spend a lot of time with me. He's busy. He's working, going to school, and hanging out with his friends. So it was just a really fun night to get that takeout. So I just made this little flap, and what I was going to tell you was I wanted to include that, but obviously it's huge. So I just scanned it and printed it out, and then I'm going to add pictures and journaling there underneath it. It's kind of in process right now. And I included a lot of ledger paper to write in. I've kind of discovered from past journals that I like to have some art pages, some journaling pages, and then some mixed media type paper that I can paint and sketch on. So that's kind of how I do the mixes. This was just, I was playing with some watercolor splotches and then I went in and tried to draw flowers around it. Not totally crazy about that, might paint over that, but I was just playing around. This is just some jelly roll plate playing. This is kind of a little sneak peek of some paper that is going to be coming to my shop soon, some wallpaper paper. And I just wrapped that around the page and taped it down with some washi tape, and it will just be a little fold out there. And then we're at the back half of all these pieces. This is another piece of paper, and I really like using these in my journal. Basically, this is just paper that I use to wipe off my brushes or, test some spray inks or something. And then I like using them in my journal because they're just a fun background, but there's no pressure, it's not this perfect, beautiful background. And I just did some doodling there. A question that I ask myself a lot, am I too hard on myself or not hard enough? So just some contemplation there about that. And then some more background paper. I wanted to make a little pocket out of this, so I just stapled a piece of ledger paper on the side instead of sewing it up, just to close that pocket. And this was another piece of paper where I was playing with some inks, and then after it was dry, I ran it through the printer and printed some paper from one of my kits on the back. I think that's, think about these things. It's like one of my favorite kits right now, all the colors and everything. And same with this paper. I think that's this is that Christmas flocked paper, and then this is from that kit as well. And then I made a pocket out of that as well, just washi tape on the side and ledger paper. And this is a little Treasure Decks card from my Treasure Decks line. And I think that's from the Fresh Start kit from the journal that we were just looking at. And some more mixed media paper to paint on. I really liked having that painted paper with the print on the back. I'm probably going to do that a lot more. And this, again, is from that same kit, the Think About These Things kit. And vintage map and an old book page. I put this kind of in the middle because I thought I'd be about to spring here. Not that I really journal chronologically, so I'm not sure why I did that, but I was just thinking this is the spring section. I don't know. When you're putting something together, how you think you're going to use it and then how you actually use it is always so different. And again, some more background paper and a map page. And some more pattern paper from the Think About These Things kit. This is one of my favorites. I actually think this might be from the Christmas kit too. And it's just like a vintage piece of quilt, which I just love this so much. I love like all the little rust stains and the little holes in it and everything. And that's a map page that I put some inks on, a little gift bag that I embossed. It's more inked ledger paper, and this is just a book page. It's more inked ledger paper. I don't know if you can see, it's so shiny and pretty. That's the other thing that I'm trying different today is I'm just sitting by a window to get some natural light instead of in my studio. I don't know why, actually. I just thought, it'd be fun. I just like natural light so much. Sometimes I feel like it looks more, you can see the pages better. They're more real. I don't know. And this is one of my favorites. This was a gift bag, and it had this confetti in it. This is, when my husband saw this, he said, "That is so you." And I was like, I know. I just love things like this. Confetti and gold and clear, and it's a shaker. So I ripped it off the gift bag, and then I'll probably paint or collage over this part. You can see that's where the handle was of the gift bag. And then I just stitched it right in my book. I wasn't sure it was going to work. I'm still not entirely sure because it's really, really thick. So hopefully it will be fine. Some more jelly paper and ledger paper and mixed media paper and a book page. This is just some notebook paper that I was playing with some spray inks on. I really love notebook paper because I love how it bleeds and it's all crinkly, and usually I don't get to show you the crinkle because I'm doing the voiceover, so you can hear the crinkle on this one. And another book page. This is some more of that think about these things paper, and this was like a scrap of paper. It was just this one piece, and I really wanted it to be in here. So what I did was I took another piece of pattern paper and just wrapped it around and glued it down so to make it a page that I could put in. And I do that a lot when I have just scraps of paper that I really want to use. And I kind of like how that looks together. And there's the second half of all of those pages that we just showed. And that is it. And there's that little flap. I will probably add a page to that will extend beyond. And you can see this is the binding that I messed up too. This is another thing that I did on this one. Because it was so thick and tight, I had to cut this to make it so that it would open all the way. And now there's this weird cut thing there. So I'm going to probably cover that up with some lace too. So that is my journal for this year. And so you probably will be seeing that a lot. My goal is to try and post a video once a month at least this year. I would like to go for 2, but I'm not going to promise 2. I'm going to say once a month, and hopefully that will happen and you will see this a lot and see different things. If there are videos that you would like to see, I would love to hear your ideas. You can DM me on social. You know what? Probably in the YouTube community. That's where I'm spending most of my time, on my YouTube community tab. Would be a great place to tell me in one of the comments, or you can just comment on this video, or you can reply to one of my email newsletters. Those go directly to my inbox, so I get all of those. And I would love to have you sign up for that because I'm doing all kinds of new things with that this year too. And I think that's it. This is such a strange way to end it because usually I'm voice-overing. So thank you so much for joining me. I love having you here, and I'm excited for this year and for all the changes that are going to happen. And I hope you have a week filled with peace and grace, and I will see you next time here on Pink Paper Peppermints.